Alright guys, I bought the ultimate $1,000 Airsoft mystery box. Let's jump straight in. This is one of my favorite companies to order from. Obviously they put these really cool straps on there, just gives you a better unboxing experience. Really fun to do these. And this guy comes in at about 18 or 19 kilos, which is about 40 pounds if you're in the US. Absolutely insanely heavy box. So this guy is jam-packed with a whole bunch of really cool stuff. It's actually filled up with a whole bunch of kind of mini mystery boxes within the box itself. It basically has one $600 mystery box and two $400 mystery boxes. So I guess this thing is obviously a little bit more expensive than $1,000. It's more like $1,400. And also the shipping just to get this box to where I am, it's $400 just to ship this box. This thing is obviously coming from across the world for me, so that's why it's so expensive. This thing is actually more like a $2,000 mystery box, but we'll round it down just to give you guys a little bit more stuff than you clicked on. Let's go ahead and see what we got in this guy. All right, straight away, it looks like we have a whole bunch of stuff in here. Let's start with some of these smaller stuff first and then work our way up to the bigger stuff last. Let's try to see what this guy is. All right, first up we have this little guy. So this huge mystery box is actually made up of a whole bunch of small ones, like I said before. It is basically made up of a whole bunch of really cool gas pistol-like pistols and gas pistol-like rifles. So first up we have something from Tech. Let's actually see what this guy looks like. We have a little Tech instruction manual. Ooh, got some extra stuff in here as well. So it looks like we have a little back plate to actually put a different one on the pistol itself. Comes with a little bag of white BBs. We also have another back plate as well, so that's a cool little addition. We got two different types to choose from. Oh, looks like we have two magazines it comes with too. That's pretty nice. So this is a double stack magazine. So basically the BBs actually stack on top of each other like a zigzag. Pretty cool. This guy holds probably about like 20-25 BBs. Usually these hold about 30 if they're double stacked, but this guy looks a little bit smaller than normal if you were comparing it to like a high cap magazine, for example. And obviously this guy is a gas plug magazine as well, so the green gas actually goes down there. Pretty cool. And of course you don't need me to unbox the second mag, but we actually have a second one in there as well. Now let's see what we actually have here. Ooh, okay, a little kind of compact pistol. Let's check this guy out. Ooh, pretty cool actually. So I guess this is the Tech P08 is what it's called. Looks like this guy actually has a third magazine already in as well. So we actually have a total of 3 magazines that come with this guy. First off, some of my favorite stuff about this guy is actually the kind of like labeling or trades on this guy. It actually is kind of unique. I've never seen Tech have this type of label on it. As you can see, it spells it all out right there. It's kind of interesting. As well as this one on this side too. It just says wet, but it has a little dot in between we and then the T, obviously standing for Tech. But I've never seen it actually spelled out like that. It just looks like wet from a far distance. Kind of funny. The warning label has it in 2 different languages, which I've never seen as well. So this guy has a full metal slide and then a full plastic lower. It's got some nice iron sights, as you can see right there as well. Pretty unique kind of grip with this guy too. It has all these dots. It feels kind of good and grippy with gloves on. It has these weird indents as well. I've never really seen a airsoft gun have stuff like this. And obviously you can replace the back piece. It came with 2 more, so that's kind of nice as well. We'll be shooting all of the guns and doing a chrono test as well. But before we do that, I want to highlight some of the weird features. So with this trigger guard, it actually has the magazine release built in, which is really weird. But the hard part is actually, it kind of makes sense. It looks kind of cool actually built in, but when you actually have it gripped up, you can't even really reach it with your thumb unless you kind of like undo your grip at the bottom and actually put your thumb more forward, and then I can finally reach the magazine release. So not very efficient. Another really weird thing about this guy is actually the trigger mechanism. So with this guy, obviously as you cock it back and you're able to pull the trigger, the actual point where the trigger goes off is all the way at the back right there, which is very interesting. And one more really cool thing about this guy, actually, so it doesn't have a normal traditional hammer, it's that little guy right there. But when you pull the trigger, you actually see it go back in, which I thought was kind of cool. Definitely the trigger feels pretty weird with this guy. It's like kind of heavy at the end, but really light in the beginning. Kind of interesting. This trigger is actually pretty interesting because you can actually put it all the way back until the very last second. So you can kind of control that very last little pinch of the trigger, which is kind of cool. Out of gas on that one. All right, continuing on to this right side, we got kind of like the smaller stuff over here, so we're going to go ahead and continue on that side. Let's see what we got next. The Cheetah, okay. Looks like this guy just comes with 2 little bags of BBs. I don't know why they put them in a separate bag. You would think you could just fit all of them in one bag, but that's what they did, kind of weird. But let's actually see what this little guy looks like. It's not as small as I thought it was going to be, but it is definitely not a huge pistol by any means. So yeah, there it is. This one is called the Tech M84, also known as the Cheetah. There is the actual design of the front iron sights right there. It's just a little dot in the front and then kind of like a U shape with a little dot in the middle too. It's a full metal construction with plastic grips on either side. I thought this little safety button was actually kind of unique. I've never really seen one kind of shaped like that. Very interesting. It's kind of like really thick at the bottom and then kind of protrudes this little button at the top, so that's kind of interesting. Has a really cool little latch looking thing to actually release the slide, so that's pretty cool too. And actually the trigger feel itself seems super light, so that might be interesting to shoot. I thought the hammer design was pretty cool too. It's kind of just like a block looking thing with a little hole through it, so that's kind of interesting too. But I thought it actually just matches pistol pretty well with the whole design of it. Pretty standard magazine. I believe this is a double stack one, obviously green gas at the bottom right there. I believe this guy is a little bit on the smaller side, so it probably only holds like maybe 15 to 25 rounds instead of the standard 30 for gas full back pistols. But without further ado, let's go load this guy up and see how it does. Oh, this guy's got an extremely light trigger. Okay, very interesting. Wow, pretty accurate too. Pretty sick actually. Got some more BBs in there. Actually probably my favorite pistol I've shot so far. It's like a super snappy feel for the kickback. It's not too much, so you don't really lose the sight of your, iron sights, which is pretty nice when you're shooting this guy. And the trigger feels super light, which is really, really nice. You can kind of like cycle a whole bunch of BBs pretty fast. I'll do the rest of these BBs and then I'll do some dry firing to see how fast I can actually shoot this guy. Pretty cool. All right, we're starting to make a little bit of a dent in this big ass box, so let's actually see what's next. Damn, they use a lot of tape for these guys, but makes it a little bit more fun to unbox, I guess. Let's see what we got in this guy. The Browning, okay. Of course, comes with another little bag of BBs. See what this guy really does look like. This one just came in a straight baggie. It's kind of funny. Usually the other ones have like some kind of wrapped up thing, but this is just like a straight bag. Alright guys, next up, this is the Tech Browning MK3. We got a traditional iron sight right there, kind of more squares than dots, but that looks pretty cool as well. Interesting enough, it actually comes with some kind of like sling mount right there, so that's kind of cool. Very unique look for the slide release right there, kind of cool. Bruh. It's got a little hammer on the back, and obviously a functioning safety right there too. It's ambidextrous as well, so that's nice. So the full gun, I believe, is full metal, the upper and the lower, but actually the grips on either side are plastic. It's got this very unique sloping design on either side as well, but when you're actually gripping the guy, it makes for a very good little hold for both your fingers, for your pointer finger and your thumb to kind of rest on the grip like so. Obviously, the magazine is just a traditional gas blowback one. You put the gas at the bottom, it's powered by green gas, but it's quite interesting. Usually you actually see the BBs on the middle right there in that little section, but with this guy, actually you can see the BBs on the side, so I thought that was kind of unique. Kind of a cool little slide sound. Whoa, okay. Wow, okay, the weight of the trigger is actually pretty insane for a pistol. That's interesting. There's something wrong with the magazine. The pistol seems to be cycling okay, but something with the magazine's kind of wrong. Basically, it fell out of the gun a few times. The cycle rate of the gun itself actually makes the magazine fall out. This kickback so heavy. It's not crazy heavy, but it's definitely on the heavier side for pistols, but it's so heavy that the magazine just keeps falling out when I shoot it. I'll show you guys how it looks like. So you can see it just already falling out. Something's wrong with the magazine. So that's unfortunate, but at least this guy's pretty cool. All right, what do we have next up in this guy? Looks like we have this little tiny cardboard case looking guy. This one is pretty much just like naked, I guess. There's no labels or like, any coloring to it, but let's see what's in that guy. And then we'll move on to this huge case. And then we have these two ones right here. Looks like they're two bigger boxes. And then we'll move to the finale, this huge box right here. All right, but let's see what this little guy has in store. Ooh, like the trigger. It's like a little mini 1911 or something like that. It's kind of funny. Oh my gosh, this is actually kind of cool. Yeah, it's literally like a tiny little miniature 1911 looking thing. All right, check out this little guy. So this is a VFC M1911 UC version. I really do like the looks of this guy. It's like super small and cute. Basically looks like a little miniature 1911. It's got a super cool little silver outer barrel, a silver hammer, and then a silver trigger with 3 little dots, that signature 1911 look. Has a really cool engraved little logo that says Kimber on the side right there. This guy is a full metal construction with the plastic grips on either side. It's got a functioning safety latch on just this one side. It's not ambidextrous, and then obviously it has a functioning safety as well on the grip. Pretty standard triple dot for the iron sight as well. It's got a cool little piece on the bottom of the magazine as well. But one of the things I do not like about 1911s is actually, normally they are single stack, which actually limits your BB's basically capacity in the magazines in half. But this guy actually seems to be a double stack one, which they're doing recently. But of course, the actual volume of the magazine itself is still the same. So the amount of gas this guy can hold is actually not very good. When it's really cold too, the gas actually has even more of a problem because there's less gas in here to power the magazine. So cold weather, definitely not going to work. But even in hot weather, I've seen these sometimes not even get through a full magazine too. Let's do another quick magazine. There we go. Pretty cool actually. Let's do some little dry fire and finish the magazine. So it's kind of funny, obviously this guy is definitely on the smaller side of pistols, but the grip itself pretty much feels like a standard 1911. It's probably the same thing, but the actual, slide and length of the gun is a little bit shorter. So if you do prefer this look and kind of compact design, I do suggest this is a pretty cool little guy. Alright, so what is in this case? This guy is definitely very mysterious, and I cannot wait to see what is in here. Let's see what this guy's got to offer. Oh, we have a PP2000. I guess that's what's in here. Let's see. Ooh, nice. So I did actually get a few of these before, but they're really cool and very quirky. Let's go talk about it. Alright, this guy is the Modifi PP2000. It's got a really cool mechanism to turn it on different firing modes. There is the safety, there's the full auto, and then there is the semi. Pretty cool. It's got a full top rail. The back iron sight is actually built into the front of the rail right there, which is pretty interesting. And then the front one is just a traditional half circle with a little stem in the middle. It's got like a hybrid plastic and full metal construction. So obviously the important parts like the latch, the button to actually put the stock back, the stock itself, the trigger, the actual mechanism to pull back the blowback function, magazine itself are all full metal, but the actual body itself is plastic, which I actually probably prefer with this guy. And to actually grip this guy, obviously you can put it in the front like so, but most people actually put their thumb through like this, and you actually have enough room still to pull the trigger, which is kind of cool. And then obviously how you cock back the gun, you put the magazine in, you pull this little guy to the side, and then you cock it back like so. So this guy is obviously really cool, but the thing I've noticed from the previous ones I've unboxed is actually the magazine itself. It just seems to not really work in colder weather. But it looks like they put some kind of orange piece at the top right there, so maybe helping with that gas problem it has. Obviously it has a full folding stock that goes to the side like so. Pretty easy system. You just pull the stock up and then back. Let's do a quick mag of semi and then try to go to full auto. All right, we're gonna go ahead and collapse the stock for the full auto. Damn, this thing's sweet. It literally just melted through that magazine. So obviously if you do own this guy, definitely would recommend that. The other ones I had were basically unshootable, but with this guy, a little upgrade definitely made a huge difference. Obviously it just melts magazines, but if you were somehow able to find some kind of like drum mag or HPA system with this guy, I think it would make a huge difference. Unless you're gonna like run this as some kind of secondary to a sniper loadout, I wouldn't really suggest this as a primary unless you have some kind of crazy like drum mag with it or something like that, because this guy just absolutely melts through magazines. But very cool gun actually that it finally works with this little upgrade. All right, we finally got moving on to these. Oh my gosh, there was more boxes hiding. So I guess there's 2 more underneath this guy's, and then there's this big one. I'm assuming there's just these 3 left, and obviously this one, so there's 4 left technically. But without further ado, let's go ahead and see what these big guys have to offer in them. And I'm honestly not sure if these are considered the pistol boxes or the rifle boxes that I bought. Let's go ahead and see what we have in here. Whoa, what is this? Whoa. Oh my gosh, what is this guy? Looks like we have a pouch thing looking here. I'm not sure. Oh, it looks like we have a little magazine in there. Very interesting looking magazine. Interesting. Geez, okay, so it's basically like a whole bunch of wood and leather combined, which is very interesting. Let's see what we got in here. The mysterious gun awaits. Here we go. Oh, whoa, look at this guy. That's crazy.
Alright, up next we have the Tech P08. There is the safety system right there at the back. And a really cool thing about the safety is actually you can see the mechanism working. So where my thumb is right here, you actually see the little latch go up and down, which is pretty cool. And this back iron sight too, you can actually adjust the length. So it has different little settings. So obviously, as you can see, as you get further to the front with this latch, this actual back iron sight goes up further, obviously making the gun, instead of having a straight angle like that, it'll slightly curve it up like so. So the BB will actually lob and get to a farther distance. Pretty cool. But as you can see, there's not really a full slide on this guy that goes back and forth. So the actual blowback mechanism, you actually just pull these 2 looking like cylinder guys on the side upward. That is the system right there, which is really, really cool looking when you're shooting it. Obviously, it's a very unique design versus the normal just back and forth slide mechanisms. Has a magazine release right there. Once you press that in, you can actually just take it out like so. It's a very unique design, obviously, as you can see. Kind of almost looks like a magazine someone in like Star Wars would use. Pretty cool. It's pretty much just like a full wood stock, I believe. I'm not sure if it's fake or real wood, but it's got this crazy monstrosity of like a holster on the side. Pretty much doesn't even detach from the actual stock itself, so I think you're stuck with it on there. Obviously, you could probably detach it if you wanted to, but I think it's supposed to stay on there. There's actually a full holster where you can actually put the gun itself in, and then you have this little mini pouch that I guess got unloosed, but it's actually supposed to go on the side and then actually holds the magazines. And if you wanted to get an extra one, you can actually put the magazine in there, which is pretty cool. And obviously, I'm not sure if this is real or fake leather, but it sure does smell like it. It's kind of an interesting, kind of like old Western look for this guy.
All right, got this monstrosity back here, but let's go ahead and see how this guy shoots. Definitely super accurate. Obviously, the stock helps a lot with that precision, obviously kind of making it super stable. Shooting pretty well. That's it for the BBs, but check out that cool little kickback. Might as well do another magazine while we're at it. A little too cold for this guy. Obviously, this is a pretty small magazine, so if you don't have the right temperatures, the gas can kind of get, you know, too cold. The magazine will like freeze up a little bit, but this guy shoots pretty cool actually. Obviously, if I were to play with this guy in a game, the stock I don't really actually mind too much. It's pretty much just all this weird stuff connected to it, so I'd probably just take all of these stuff off except for the, you know, actual stock itself. It looks like we have 2 more of these bad boys down there. I think that's it, right? Yep, 2 more of those, and it looks like we have a big boy at the end. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see what we have in here. Lots of bubble wrap with this guy. Ooh, what do we have here? Let's see what this little guy looks like. Oh, interesting. I've never gotten something like this. Really cool, unique holster as well. You could just put this guy in there like so, pretty nice. And then you just latch this guy on there like that if you want to close it. But let's go ahead and take this guy out and take a little bit of a closer look at it.
This is a Tech TT33. It's got a full metal construction, obviously besides the grips on either side. And I'm not sure if they did this on purpose. I believe they did. It has like a little hammer that actually looks like a spur, I believe it's called, of a cowboy boot, which is pretty cool. But pretty simple gun nevertheless. It has a iron sights without any dots on them. It's got a silver little outer barrel and has these like vertical, basically facing little indents on the grip and the slide itself. And they actually have a little 1941 logo on the lower of the gun right there, and then on the top of the slide too. It's got a little sling mount on the bottom right there, and it has basically a standard gas back green gas powered single stack magazine. And going even more towards that little cowboy theme, like I assume this guy is supposed to be doing, that's a really cool little leather tan holster, which is really nice. Has some cool stitching throughout the outside. Obviously the inside too has this kind of like really nice looking blue like felty material on the inside too, which actually looks really nice. Actually comes with a separate mag holster on the outside as well as an extra magazine too.
This guy actually came with a second mag as well, but look at this super weird like double stacking on the side. You can't really see like how it double stacks in the middle normally. It's actually have to look through the side magazine, which is actually kind of annoying, but at least it's shooting well even if the BBs aren't perfectly stacked, so that's kind of nice. Pretty medium trigger feel, pretty medium slide feel. Alright people, this is the one I'm super excited about. I think that is the final one. Yep, this is the final one of the video. Oh boy, it's heavy. It's a lot more heavy than I thought. Oh boy. Alright, so this is the $600 rifle box. All the other ones were pistols obviously, so this is obviously the $600 final rifle one. So I'm super excited to see what is in here. Without further ado, let's go ahead and check this guy out. All right, I'm super excited to see what we have in here. Let's go ahead and see what we got. All right, lots of stuff to go over, I guess, but we have a little, looks like an M4 style gas rollback magazine. Pretty cool. Looks like we have a, not sure what this is, but we'll check that out in a sec. But let's see what we have in here. Ooh, okay. Oh, this thing looks really nice. Can't really tell too much, but I think this guy looks very cool already through the plastic there, but let's check this guy out further. Whoa, this guy's sick. It's obviously a full gas rollback M4, which is really cool. But let's actually see what we have in this little case right here. I'm very curious to see what they have in this guy. SNA, I guess, is the brand. Let's see what we have in this guy. Very protected. Let's see what we have in here. All right. Oh, nice. This looks actually really nice. Huh. T1 style replica, but with some kind of cool features. Looks like we have a off and on button and a plus and minus the brightness, I'm guessing. We have that red flare at the end, which looks really nice.
All right, so I got the red dot sight on here, looking really nice, honestly. This thing is really unique. So some of the features I actually want to go over with you guys. So the main part that's kind of weird is it has no trades on it, which actually look kind of cool. I actually honestly prefer that sometimes. As a fully collapsible stock, nothing very cool with that, but you have different notches so you can add to different lengths. So there's that, pretty nice. But look at the top right there. It actually is quite interesting if you take a closer look. So with this guy, obviously most MK18 rails have a full floating rail. So that means there's basically no front iron sight right there. So you guys can see that still has that on there. But it's really weird. Obviously they kind of have a full cutout for the iron sight on the front, which I've never seen on any airsoft gun ever, which is quite interesting. And it's funny because most of the time when people get this rail on here, actually is to delete the front iron sight. So it's kind of funny that they actually have one that first of all has a cutout to actually have it in there. And secondly, that they actually kept that iron sight on there like that. It obviously has these two black rail covers on either side, kind of hiding the extension of the rails on either side, which actually kind of looks pretty cool when you have it all lined up like that. And obviously it has this cool little grip on the bottom, actually kind of to do a C grip. And this is actually one of my favorite ways to hold something like this. It's very comfortable, obviously, when you're shooting, and obviously too, it gives a lot more stability too with something like this. But after taking a look at this guy for some time, it actually kind of makes a lot of sense the way they build it with the side rails and the cutout for the iron sight, and then this grip down here too. When I first saw it, I was like, hey, that's really weird and random, but it actually kind of starts to make sense when you look at it more and more. And obviously not a lot of people run it like this, so it's very unique too. But you might be asking yourself, why am I running the red dot sight so far up? Normally you put the red dot sight anywhere on this back rail right there on the top of the upper receiver. But with this guy, I actually noticed when I put the red dot sight on the back rail right here, it actually was kind of wobbly and didn't really make sense a lot with the front iron sight. But now that I have the red dot sight actually set up on top of the MK18 rail, I actually noticed it was supposed to be like that in the first place. So obviously you can see it doesn't do any wobble, and you can actually hold it from the red dot sight itself. It's very stable. And actually when you look through the red dot sight for the iron sight up there. Normally when you have the iron sight, it actually kind of obstructs the red dot sight. It's either too short or too tall, and there's kind of not really a point to having one up here. That's why a lot of people remove them. You can actually line it up perfectly with the iron sight up front, and actually looks really, really cool and unique. Obviously it's a different type of style when you're looking through the red dot sight. To have that little triangle iron sight right there, it's actually really cool, and it actually kind of reminds me of some of the cool video games out there. Usually I'm not a fan of something like this, but it's actually grown on me pretty quick, and I think it would actually be really cool to use this in a game. Alright guys, with all that said, obviously this is going to be probably the funnest gun to shoot in the video, so without further ado, let's go ahead and see how this guy shoots.
Alright, so this guy does have a pretty heavy kickback. I wouldn't say it is extreme by any means, but it's a good solid kickback feel. I did do a few shots obviously through the red dot as well. The red dot does kind of move around while you are shooting, and that just adds another little touch of realism, which actually kind of makes your experience shooting this guy even more fun. Let's see how this guy shoots on full auto. Say that's all the BBs, but let's do a little bit of dry firing as well.